Could you comment on the earlier event of the 10 a.m. dump? So people are speculating that every day at 10 a.m. Bitcoin would have this 2 to 3% sell-off, and then retails would pour in, and then that's the whole thing between AP and then the ETF issuers. What is that about?
Yeah, I know that there have been some theories. Twitter or X, of course, have latched onto this. I don't necessarily know what exactly drives it, but to me, there's a couple things that are indicative or significant, and that has to do with certain NAV strikes and certain other financial instruments that have important times at around that time. As an example, some of the futures for Bitcoin and other digital assets have a very important time at which their value is struck. At London's, I believe it's 10 a.m. here or 11 a.m. here. So that kind of correlates with the timeline that you're mentioning. Now, another important timeline for these products is 4 p.m. in the US. That's when NAV is struck. And you see a lot of trading activity between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock for that reason. So I think, we do a lot of debunking of some of the theories out there, especially for Grayscale, when people see tokens moving in or out of wallets and they're speculating we're buying or selling, we're just facilitating a settlement. And my guess is that this is something similar, where those are important times for determining value that may inspire a lot of trading, but there's not a lot of deeper meaning behind it.
And there are people talking about the datas. So retail investors, they look at the inflows and outflows of Bitcoin spot ETFs, and they're like, oh, institutions are buying or selling. But there are a lot of ways to hedge against that. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, exactly. So when we have a settlement for our Bitcoin or other digital asset ETF, you can see movements of Bitcoin or whatever token it is on the blockchain coming into and out of our wallets. And like you said, people often assume that Grayscale is actively making a decision to buy or sell. We are really beholden to the end investor who seeks to buy shares, and ultimately that makes its way to an authorized participant who may create or redeem. Now, when they do that creation or redemption, my team actually will go out and buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin commensurate to the number of shares created or redeemed. We're not taking an active management approach. It's really just driven off of the needs of the market. Now, you also mentioned hedging, and that's an important point too. I think that as the ETFs become a financial instrument, as we like to call it, basically a bellwether representation of the asset class, and I think they've arrived at that kind of stature, they're not just used for speculative investment. They're used for institutional investment. They're used for hedging. You can go long, you can go short. And going short doesn't even necessarily mean that you think, Bitcoin is done. It's just that you're taking an investment thesis and you're applying it through the Bitcoin ETF.